Guys, the US Grand Prix weekend is over. What a weekend it was. It was an incredible weekend, an incredible race, and even better, who's got it better than us? We're gonna quickly go over our race quick hits. Charles Leclerc wins the US Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz comes home P2. Lando Norris bottles another one. What a weekend for Haas, by the way. Double points in the sprint, points again in the Grand Prix, officially taking P6 in the Constructors. Who would have thought? This scene is incredible, and man, oh man, was it a fantastic weekend. From the jump, it was exciting. The race from the jump was exciting. We knew Max and Lando were going to go out in it to turn one, and who is it but Charles Leclerc to take advantage and come out on top with the lead, and then eventually the win. What a race. I can't keep saying it. What a weekend. Let's see. Elsewhere, Colapinto scores a point. George Russell goes from pit lane to points finish. Lawson, I think, also finished in the points. So it's a good thing that Nico finished 8th in this one, or 8th in this one. I think Lawson finished 9th. So not too shabby for the grand scheme of things. Oh, what else happened? Alpine, Gasly was looking pretty decent for points until a 5-second penalty derailed his day. And then, man, I don't know. My brain is all over the place. What a weekend. Charles Leclerc wins the US Grand Prix. What a battle from Lando and Max. It's unfortunate Lando had to get that penalty, but at the same time, I think it was for track limits. That's what I remember hearing. And so I'll have to check it after we get back. Weekend winners and losers. I'm going to go weekend winner. I'm totally letting my bias reign supreme in this one. I'm giving my weekend winner to Haas F1 team. Definitely got to be. Double points finish in the sprint. Points finish again in the Grand Prix at home. What a weekend. Looked like the upgrades worked a treat. And definitely could not have asked for more. Weekend loser. Man, I think I'm going to go weekend loser Lando Norris. Not only did he finish behind Max for the first time in a while in the sprint, he also managed to finish behind him and off the podium in general in the Grand Prix. Even starting on pole wasn't enough. He actually finished off the podium entirely. So I'm going to give my weekend loser to Lando Norris. Not that he necessarily ran a bad race. He ran about as well as McLaren probably should have. That said, long day for Papaya fans. Long weekend for Papaya fans. Moving on, can't do my predictions yet, obviously. We are quite still on the track invasion, and so I will come back to you guys in a little bit with the points tally for a predictably quick one, and I'll also include any other ideas or thoughts that come to my head after I manage to leave and get home to actually, process everything that we just had. But what a weekend, what a race, what a weekend for Haas. That's the way we like to do it. Ayo Komatsu, you absolute wizard, you. Cooking to the highest degree. I'll see you guys in a little bit. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. And I'll see you guys in a second, but for me, it'll be more than a few hours later. See you then.
All right, guys, welcome back to a very quick, very tired, very sleepy roundup for the US Grand Prix. It was a very fun weekend, but a very long weekend. Thankfully, we were blessed with a little bit of friendly weather to begin the weekend, but man, Sunday was brutal. I'm exhausted. I had so much fun over the weekend. Me and my wife had just an incredible time. It's the third year in a row we've gotten to go to the US Grand Prix, and this year hit like nothing else. We got to see stuff all over the sprint race, we got to see stuff all over qualifying, and we got to see a titanic battle in the Grand Prix itself, with of course Ferrari coming out on top in a 1-2 and Lando unfortunately finishing behind Max in the standings this weekend. I already gave a lot of my thoughts already in my very quick on the grid video I took during the track invasion of the US Grand Prix after it had concluded. So I think, I don't know if I'm going to go into too many more thoughts based on what I had already said. A lot of it still very relevant. I think that's kind of the highlights of this one. Ferrari came out huge. Mercedes had a stinker beyond all stinkers. Lando had a bit of a tough one, finishing behind Max in both the sprint and in the Grand Prix, as well as Haas coming home to take a fantastic weekend, scoring 7 points and officially securing P6 in the Constructors. I also gave my biggest winner and loser of the weekend, with my winner being Haas. I let my emotions and bias get to the best of me in this one, but I have to say, out of everyone else besides maybe Ferrari in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if there was a better team performance than the Haas team put together on home soil. I also saw after the race ended that is the best finish that the Haas team has had at a home race ever. And so Nico coming home to finish P8 in the Grand Prix will take it every single day of the week. In terms of biggest loser, I went with Lando Norris. This is the first week in a handful of weeks where he actually lost ground to Max in the championship. And obviously, if you're wanting this to go down to the finale in Abu Dhabi, this is not how you wanted to see this weekend go. He finished behind him in both the sprint and actually behind a Ferrari as well, and probably could have been both Ferraris as well in the sprint. And then in the Grand Prix, obviously, we saw some titanic racing between the two of them before ultimately Lando's penalty ultimately derailed that one from kind of getting away from him. I'm interested to see what you guys think about the penalty. Was it a penalty? Was it not? Let me know down in the comment section below. Let's quickly go over our predictions results, and then we will get out of here. I need to go to bed because I am exhausted. We'll start with my pick for biggest positive surprise, and I'm sorry, so sorry, Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton fans specifically. I predicted Lewis Hamilton to be my biggest positive surprise this weekend. Lewis always does very well around COTA and in the United States, but this was a weekend to forget, burn the tape, move on, don't give it a second thought, and pray it gets better next week. But man, oh man, is that the definition of no point for me there. Moving on to my pick for biggest disappointment, I went for Liam Lawson. I thought Yuki was going to come in and continue to on the trajectory that he's had, and Liam kind of stepping in with his first weekend, it being a sprint race weekend. I think we saw it kind of similarly in the sprint where he was battling, but not necessarily, performing that much more over anyone else. But unfortunately in the unfortunately, it was good on him in the Grand Prix. He came home and actually finished in the points in P9, securing a couple of points for himself there. And so I couldn't give myself the point here. I debated on a half point, but at the same time, no, it was never on. Moving on to my pick for qualifying as I quickly check my notes. I had a Lando Norris pole position, a Max Verstappen P2, and an Oscar Piastri P3. Obviously got the first two of those right. Lando Norris ended up taking pole, Max Verstappen finishing P2 thanks to one crash by the other Mercedes driver of George Russell there at the end of Q3. So I got the first 2 out of 3 correct. Unfortunately, Piastri did not have the best qualifying and not necessarily the best weekend overall. It was solid for him, but at the end of the day, not quite up to snuff. So 2 points for me there. First 2 points of the predictions. As we move on to sprint winner. And speaking of Piastri, I went for Oscar Piastri to win the sprint. That was obviously before he was knocked out in Q1 in sprint qualifying, which ended that run effective immediately, and no point for me there. As we move on to my race podium, I had a Lando Norris win, a Max Verstappen P2, and a Lewis Hamilton P3, kind of riding the line of my biggest positive surprise. So obviously Lando did not finish on the podium. Lewis made it about 4 laps. And Max ended up winning the race, so a half point out of 3 for me there, bringing me up to 2.5. But this is my biggest one, and this one is the one that will hold me over in the meantime. My one crazy prediction was that Haas would score in both the sprint and the Grand Prix, and ding, ding, ding. And I even could have potentially gone a step further and actually left us slightly disappointed that we didn't get a double points finish in both races. Let that sink in. I am legitimately disappointed that Haas did not have a double points finish in both the sprint, where it's only the top 8, and the Grand Prix, with Kevin finishing P11. Yes, I will take that every single time. So if we take a look at our points standings, as I take a look over here at my notes once again, I currently now sit on 67.5 points. British storms into a commanding 2-point lead going into Mexico with 69.5 points. Senel, not the best weekend with 66.5 points total. F1 Inferno and Andrew both had steaming weekends, both of them accumulating 5 points this weekend, absolutely cooking. And now Inferno sits on 44.5 points with Andrew right behind him with 41.5 points. Guys, this weekend was so much fun, and not only is the F1 back after their second summer break, they are back once again. They are back this coming weekend in Mexico City. Going to be another fun one, second leg of this triple header with the US Grand Prix. Mexico and Brazil is going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for this weekend to come. Last year in Mexico, we saw a Verstappen, Hamilton, and Leclerc podium. Who do we think it's going to be this weekend? I think there's a couple of those drivers who are performing very well, and there's one team in there that has question marks written literally all over the place. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the US Grand Prix weekend. I had a lot of fun being there. I'm so exhausted. I cannot wait to take a nice rest. But it's going to be back before we know it this weekend in Mexico. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, subscribe down below. Join our fun little community here we're building. Leave a comment down below what you would give the US Grand Prix a rating out of 10. And as always, leave a like rating if you enjoyed any part of the video. But guys, I'm going to go to bed. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.
And the Prix